going to start. My name's Austin Speed, and I appreciate your time here, Commissioner, and the other commissioners. I'm the president of the Citizens for the Regents Road Bridge. We have issues with the UC plan amendment. We also have issues with the PEIR recommendation, especially Alternative 3. Next slide, please. I want to move pretty fast because I've got like 4 or 6 minutes for my part. Our opinion is that an additional north-south arterial is needed. The Regents Road was designed as an arterial, a 4-lane, no curb cuts kind of thing from 52 up to its dead end. And it was intended to deliver goods, services, people to and from the North UC economic engine. And it's just been blunted for years because it hasn't been completed. That's the most straightforward and effective solution we see to giving traffic circulation a chance in the community. I honestly think the traffic engineers did a really good job, but with a limited model that I think underrepresented what would occur if we doubled the number of north-south arterial lanes with having Genesee and Regents Road. We believe Genesee Avenue widening is too costly, too intrusive also, and we agree with eliminating that. Next slide, please. The PER recommendations to include as Alternative 3 this reconfiguration or this repurposing of the right-of-way, I'm going to get into that. I'm going to focus on that a little bit, why we think that's kind of a nightmare and we really don't want it. And there are a lot of conclusions in the PEIR about aesthetic trade-offs that are detrimental to opinions about the bridge, which to me is kind of hard to take, given that there's no design for the bridge yet. So we really believe that a lot of those opinions, if you read the PEIR, you need to sort of discount them. Next slide, please. All right, reconfiguring Genesee Avenue. We're going to lose our trees. We're not happy about losing our trees. We've named these trees, Ethel, Fred, Lucy, Desi. And we're going to, the way I understand it's been described, we're going to attempt a restriping and somehow get 6 lanes out of 4. Well, I've looked at parts of Genesee, and in certain places that might be possible, but I'm not sure it's practical for the length of the roadway that they want to expand to 6 lanes. Next slide, please. We really don't want to lose our trees. Next slide, please. Grade separation. That would be a dramatic, unwanted change in University City. More expensive than the bridge, we believe, by probably a factor of 2. Impact, dangers, inconveniences in the community. Grade separation was proposed, debated back in 2003, 2004, 2005, and roundly the people in the community on both sides do not want this grade separation solution. Next slide, please. With grade separation, normally used for freeway entrances and exits, you're going to have to depress the roadway, build a bridge, and build ramps and build retaining walls. It's a huge, expensive project that shuts down that intersection for a long time. Next slide, please. We think it's going to disrupt the community terribly. We're going to lose access to school and businesses, and we're going to have a lot of economic hardship and a lot of just general low quality of life while this would be going on. Road closures, maybe as much as 2 years. Next slide, please. One of our civil engineers who was looking at this back in the time when we were arguing this in 2003 did an estimate of the dirt hauling that would have to be done for Regents Road Bridge and grade separation. Grade separation is more than 10 times more dirt hauling, more truck trips than the building of the Regents Road Bridge. Next slide, please. We're going to eliminate 3 bus stops at Governor and Genesee because your lanes for exit and entry onto Governor, the bus stops that are there are going to have to be repositioned somewhere. I don't know how that's going to work. These go straight through on Genesee through the Governor intersection right now. Next slide, please. Project duration, 6 months probably to reposition all the utilities. And then mitigation of contaminated soils. You've got 4 gas stations there. Construction of the grade separation, 1.5 to 2 years? This is a big deal. Next slide, please. Utility relocation. This was done back in 2003. I'm assuming this hasn't changed a heck of a lot. We don't dig up this much. So we've got 2 16-inch water mains, 8-inch sewer, a lot of stuff there that would have to be moved. Next slide, please. You have to put steel sheet piling in the roadway in order to provide an excavation tunnel to remove the dirt. and to dig up the roadway. That can run as much as 1,100 feet on either side of the intersection. That's a big deal. That's a lot of driving of steel down into the ground. It's noisy and it's dirty. Next slide, please. We have to build long retaining walls, and retaining walls aren't the prettiest things, and they're generally necessary for this type of grade separation. Next slide, please. So we're going to have noise, vibration, air quality problems, truck trips, contaminated soil, backup bells from construction vehicles, all kinds of things going on here, and the shutdown of an intersection that everybody in that community uses. Next slide, please. And without the Regents Road Bridge, we don't have an alternate surface route. We don't have any way to go in University City other than especially South University City. We'll all have to go down the freeways and run around our own community to get back into it. It's not the way we want to live. Next slide, please. These are our alternative routes, 5 and 805. And we'll be using the freeways to do things we would normally do with surface streets while this construction is going on. Next slide. We don't want a neighborhood that looks like this. We don't. So we would appreciate it if you know, when you consider this recommendation, that you really dig into it, really dig into the engineering costs, really dig into the impact in the community, to just take it as a recommendation off the PEIR. And I know they did a lot of hard work on the PEIR, and we really had good interactions with Dan and the group. But this particular recommendation, I think actually the whole community agrees. It's just a nightmare. Could I skip down to the next to last slide? Just plow on through. Okay, come up to, yeah. What I'm recommending here is that you consider delaying or tabling any vote on the UC plan amendment, because there's a bait and switch here without the switch. The bait and switch is we'll offer you this roadway reconfiguration with this grade separation in exchange for not widening Genesee and not building the bridge. Well, I don't believe the grade separation is going to get off the ground. It's just not practical. So we recommend that you vote against the UC plan amendment and the adoption of the PEIR recommendations.